Alright. This is basically if I have Digital Media Arts again today. It's 9/7, September 7th, 2021. If you're in here, well, this is what we're going to be doing. A 7x5 default Photoshop size, create a new document, make sure the resolution is 300. We'll actually change this to pixels. So we're not going to use the standards, and we'll change this to 1920 by 1080. Like this. Again, in this lesson, if I go too fast, just press pause and follow along, and then when you get caught up, play it again. Alright, we're going to be doing a pretty basic animation today. I'm going to start off with a gradient, something that I don't think we've done in class. We'll do a radial gradient, and I want it to be warm. So the colors I'm going to choose are going to be warm colors. I don't know how this is going to look. Let's make it darker. Alright. Alright, let's see what this looks like. Boom. Alright, so I want to put the gradient somewhere in the middle of the screen. And let's go to the internet and find a picture of, let's say, ocean, horizon, water. And choose a nice bright blue picture, one that has good resolution. So this one right here, I'm going to click on and try to find it. I'm going to copy that. So right click, copy image, come in here, press Control V. Again, if I'm going too fast, that's an easy solve. Just press pause and then come back. So I'm going to eat some more pretzels with guacamole here. It's very good, and it's nice to eat into the microphone because it's so good. Now we're going to adjust the levels to darken this up so it looks like it's not a happy, bright daytime scene. I'm going to press Control L. As you see, this middle dial right here, this dial over here, as you see down at the bottom of this this grid, is black and this is white. So this is white in the picture and this is the black in the picture. If I take this to the right, you'll see that I'm dragging the black into the picture, and if I take it to the left, I'm dragging more white into the picture. Same with these dials here. So if I want it to be brighter, I would do this, but if I want it to be darker, I would more than likely take this, come this way, and do like so. That also messes with the saturation, so I'm going to change the saturation. Press Control U. Take the saturation to the left, and I want something that's going to look like it's done at night. So press OK, and now what I'm going to do is put a mask on this to get rid of the blue sky, because this is going to happen at night. So I'm going to use the gradient tool. I want black and white when I use the gradient tool, so I'm going to press D. That sets the foreground and the background color to black and white. Again, that's D. And the gradient tool is G, or you can come over here, hold your mouse button down, choose the gradient tool, and I want to switch from radial gradient up here to linear gradient. So I'm going to click the mask button over here with layer 1 selected, click the mask button, and now I have a mask and I have the image. So I want to make sure that I click on the mask right here, and you have the white highlighted box around the mask, and I'm going to use the gradient right around here so the sky darkens into this background. So what I want when I drag this is white at the bottom and black at the top. So if I have white here, I need to drag like so, and that's pretty easy. If you don't get it right the first time, just try it again. I want a really hard transition right there. So if you look at this picture, if I were to drag it longer like this, it would fade over time. It would fade over the length that I drag it. If you hold shift, you'll drag a nice straight line here. So I'm just going to do it rather quickly right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and go with that. So I'm going to click on layer 0, and I'm going to press Control U, and I want to darken this up a little bit. And I still kind of want this color out of here. It's too blue, so I'm going to click on the actual thumbnail of the image. I'm going to press Control U, and I'm going to take this color dial up here and drag it to the right a little bit so it's purple. That looks like something from a different planet. So I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to take some of the saturation out because it's still too colorful for me. And now what I'm going to do is make something that's going to be like a sun. Okay, so I'm going to use this tool up here, the Elliptical Marquee tool. Shortcut key for that is M. You can press Shift M and cycle between the rectangular marquee tool and the elliptical marquee tool, or you can hold your mouse over this. Okay, I want a perfect circle, so I'm going to hold Shift while I drag a circle onto the screen. I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to name it Circle. Doesn't matter where it's at, as long as it's a perfect circle. And I'm going to use the gradient tool. And let's choose like a dark purple and pink. And let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to do it the other way. So the shadow is more like down here. And now I'm going to press Control A to select the entire canvas, and I'm going to center this, and I'm going to move it behind this layer here. So with this layer still selected, I'm going to press V for the move tool, or it's this tool right here, and I'm going to click this button right here. This will align it horizontally, and this button right here will align it vertically. So that's where I want it to be, and now I'm going to drag it underneath this layer here, so now it's going to appear behind the water. And I'm going to cut out this bottom portion of this eventually. So in a couple of steps, I'm going to select this tool. I'm going to cycle to the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to cut it out where the horizon would be, right about there. But right now I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is double click the circle layer to go to the layer styles, and I'm going to add an inner shadow, change it to normal, and I want this to be sort of this orange color here, out here. So I want the shadow to be dark, the same color as out here. So when you click on that color box, your mouse is going to turn to an eyedropper, and then you can click and sample any color just by clicking the mouse. Click OK. And here is where we're going to change it. So I'm going to decide where this angle is coming from. So I want it to come from down here. I want it to be less opaque, so I'm going to turn this up. As you see, it's starting to spread here. And if I change the size, let's see. Okay. That's what I want. So it's darker orange over here. I don't like the way that looks, so I'm going to add a bit more color to it. And I'm going to spread out the choke. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add another one of these. I'm going to click on the plus sign, and I'm going to drag this above that. Can I do that? No, I can't do that anymore. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make this sort of a purple highlight. So this is going to be sort of a bright purple up here, and I'm going to change the angle so it pops up from up here. Let's see. Oh no, where I wanted it, right there. Okay. So I guess just changing the distance right here is the look that I'm going for. Let's say I will go ahead and change this to about 323, and then see what it looks like. And then I'll adjust the opacity a little bit to tone that down a bit. And let's see what happens when we add an outer glow to it. One that's more, I don't know, that's a good color right there. Let's change the blend mode to a linear, no, let's say color dodge. Let's change it to color dodge here. And I'm going to change the spread to about 2 and change the size out like so. Click OK. And now I am going to see what happens if I were to add a drop. Let's say bevel and emboss. No, that's not what I'm going for. Okay, I'm going to click OK on that. Now I'm going to right click this layer, and I'm going to rasterize the layer style so it all exists on one layer here. I'm going to go back to this. I still don't like the way that transitions there. It's too long. I want it to happen a lot sooner. So I'm going to go back to the gradient tool. Make sure that this is black and white again. You can do that by pressing D. And I'm going to transition it again like so. I like that better. So now I'm going to go to this layer here, use the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to cut out the bottom here. And now we've got this section. You know what? I think we can hide that. So I'm not going to delete that. So I just press Control Z to undo that. I am going to press Control L on this and see what happens here. And darken up the waters a bit. So I selected this layer right here, press Control L and change the dial here to the middle dial to 0.88. All right, now I'm going to add something here on the horizon to block this out. Let's go to the internet. I'm going to type in Fireline. Go to Image. I'm going to click on Tools, click on Color, click on Transparent, and then I'm going to find a line of fire here. I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to save this image to my computer, and I'm going to name it Fire and see if this works. I'm going to go to File, Place Embed, Desktop, and here it is. Double click it. I'm going to scale it down so it's not so big, and I'm going to line it up right here on the horizon. You can use the arrow keys to adjust this. So now I'm going to use the move tool, which is right here, or V, and if you hold Alt first and then move this layer, it will drag a copy of itself. So I'm going to do that and make sure it's lined up on the same horizontal here, and I'm going to keep doing that until it goes all the way across. Okay, now I'm going to select all these layers and then merge them into one. You can do that by clicking on either the bottom layer of fire or the top layer here. Hold Shift and click on the last file that you want to select, and then press Control E. So now it's all on one layer. I'm going to press Control U, change the lightness so it's all white, and now I'm going to change the layer's opacity here so it's going to look like smoke on the water. Okay. That looks a little too small, so I'm going to press Control T and I'm going to scale it and change the height of it a little bit. And that's more of what I want. Let's make it a little more. And press Enter. Okay. Okay, so on the circle layer, if you click Color Dodge, you have all these blend modes. I'm sorry, on blend mode, you have all these blend modes. I'm going to go with Color Dodge here. Where's that at? Color Dodge. I'm going to go with this. And now, what I'm going to do is animate. Now that we didn't delete this, I'm going to animate the sun setting. So this was step one, and now we're going to animate it. So what I'm going to do is go up here to Window, go to Workspace, click on Motion, and now I have a timeline down here. I'm going to go ahead and click Create Video Timeline. And if you hover your mouse over this section right here, the bottom of this scroll bar, you can click and drag up. And what I'm going to be animating only, well, I can animate the smoke too. Yeah. But we're going to animate the circle first. So I'm going to click on the circle layer. You can do it here, or you can do it on the timeline. And click this arrow to the left of the title of that layer. And we're going to animate the position. So I'm going to click Position. Make sure that this red line, it's called the scrubber, is all the way to the left. I'm going to click Position. To add a keyframe, that's what this yellow diamond is. And with the Move tool selected, I'm going to click on this layer, hold Shift, and drag this layer down. And now I'm going to drag the scrubber to about, let's say, 2 seconds right here. And I need to move this up, so I'm going to press Control T with the circle layer still selected, and I'm going to hold Shift and click the arrow button up. So this will move into place, because if you try to do it with the mouse, as you just saw, it's going to select whatever layer that you have selected. So I'm going to do that, press Enter, and click Position. And what you just saw is why you don't do it that way. So now I'm going to press Control T here and move this back down, and let's see if this works. This might have to be done in a specific way. It does. Okay, so forget what I just taught you right there. We're going to right click on this layer, the circle layer, and we're going to convert it into a smart object. So now we're just going to have to redo what we just did. I apologize. We're going to open this back up. Now, you see the sun is still down here. So I'm going to click Transform. Now I'm going to move the scrubber to about somewhere around 2 seconds. I'm going to press Control T and I'm going to do that again. And now when I press enter, you should see a keyframe appear on the timeline down below. Okay, so when I drag the scrubber to the left, it's going to rise. And right, if you take the scrubber back to the left, if that ever happens, you just click on the timeline, drag it to the bottom of the screen until you see that blue bar appear, and then you let go and it'll pop back up here. So then you click play. All right, and let's do something with the smoke. So I'm going to click the fire layer up here, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to choose Convert to Smart Object. And now I'm just going to animate the transformation like I did before. And I'm going to move, since Convert to Smart Object. Okay, and I'm just going to scroll this from left to right a little bit. So I'm going to click Transform here after I press enter, and I'm going to drag the scrubber all the way to the end of the animation. I'm going to press Control T, and while holding Shift, I'm going to hit the right arrow key like twice and see what that looks like. Okay, let's undo that and let's animate it a little better. So if you click on these keyframes, you can press the delete key. I think what I want to do is warp it. So I'm going to press Control T right here. Let's turn on transformation first. So turn on transform. I'm going to press Control T. I'm going to right click, choose warp, and I'm going to move this bar in the middle. If you just click and drag, you can see you can warp it around. So I'm going to do that, press enter, and then I'm going to move to about 1 second, press Control T again, right click, do warp. I'm going to try to make it go back the other way. This is going to look a little cheesy. This is a very cheesy way of animating, so it doesn't even look like it wants to do that. So it doesn't look like it will. So you can move it. And, yeah, there we go. So that is that. If you want it to be an animation, then you can go up to File, Export, 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 Export. Where is Export? Export. Render video. This is going to take a minute, pop up. I'm going to give it a name it Fire, or something like that. Select the folder around it I want it to be saved. I'll click the desktop here in this case. And I don't need to change any of this other stuff. And I'm going to click render. And then you'll see a bar pop up somewhere right here. Exporting. If your computer freezes, go ahead and hit cancel and close Photoshop out. It shouldn't freeze, although your laptop might do that. So if you double click here and click fire, you'll see that you have this animation. This text right here is just the title. It doesn't actually pop up on the video if you were to make this. That's just a media player thing. So as you see, it'll fade away as it gets to the end of the video. All right, that's it. Thank you for everything.